For more on this situation, I want to welcome on Ivan Raiklin, a Green Beret, lawyer, and a friend of the Flynn family. So, Ivan, when we look at this latest development, the allegation is that the Obama-Biden FBI used this type of briefing in actually order to surveil the Trump campaign. What is your response to these latest allegations?
This is a big picture thing, essentially. So this goes back to 2014 when General Flynn at the time was the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and Obama had forced him out because he was speaking truth to power. And then fast forward to 2016 after the RNC convention, that's when folks in the RNC convention started chanting "lock her up," and he participated in that conversation. And that's what I think fueled the opening of the Crossfire Hurricane as well as the Crossfire Razor investigation to target Flynn. And then as we've seen in the last few weeks, and more specifically yesterday, as you just discussed, there is now evidence to show that there was an espionage campaign conducted by elements of the FBI to go and target General Flynn and essentially monitor him. One of the folks in that is finally, his name is coming out, is Joe Pientka, supervisory special agent at the time. I'm not sure what his rank is, but I've seen through online searching, I think he's currently a FBI agent in the San Francisco field office.
And in fact, that individual is responsible for conducting a lot of the interviews in this investigation, as well as another man. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He was the one that actually conducted, according to the documents released yesterday, he was the one that conducted the quote-unquote counterintelligence defensive briefing to then candidate Donald Trump, Chris Christie, as you mentioned, and General Flynn, with the specific purpose, as other documents mention, not only to brief the candidate, but also get a baseline understanding of General Flynn for possible future investigations. And I think as more documentation comes out, we're going to start to see more and more evidence that the other media elements out there will not cover whatsoever, at showing that this was an entire full-blown intelligence operation that was sanctioned by, back then, Vice President Biden when he was still lucid, as well as the previous president.
And another name that I think we should mention, too, is Kevin Kleinsmith. He's mentioned in this new release as well. And he's an individual who's accused of even forging documents in order to continue the furtherance of this investigation. And now we're hearing, too, that there's other people who may be cooperating to some degree, possibly even Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who everybody at home knows about. But this also overlaps with Michael Flynn's current court case as well. I mean, the lower court did say that it should be dismissed. However, the judge overseeing that case is still fighting in order to continue this case against the general. Do you know how he's faring during this time? Is he positive? Is he pessimistic? How is he feeling?
There's a lot there. Let me just start out with Kevin Kleinsmith.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have the two agents that interviewed General Flynn on January 24th, which is 4 days after I walked into the military inaugural ball back in January 20th. But so 4 days later, after inauguration, Andrew McCabe and James Comey send two agents in, Joe Pientka and Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok was the supervisor to Joe Pientka, who ended up writing most of these documents, to include the one from August of 2016. And so he had to get approval to submit it to FBI leadership through Peter Strzok, as well as Kevin Kleinsmith. And then Kevin Kleinsmith, as you mentioned, after the hearing was done, I think in December of 2019, last year, the IG report came out explaining that Kleinsmith ended up lying the affiliation that Carter Page had at the time with another agency.
And I think that I'm sorry, I just want to jump in really quick. I think it's important to point out, too, that those agents, when they went to the White House, were doing so at the direction of James Comey. And even that meeting is a little bit suspicious in its own right, because General Flynn, as the national security advisor, could assume that he was talking to his employees and not necessarily investigators, them being FBI agents. He didn't have a lawyer present. He didn't know that he was under investigation. There's a lot to this that is going on behind the scenes.
It's a completely benign conversation from his perspective, because, I mean, he's lived his entire military career of 33 years thinking that everybody's essentially following procedure, following the laws. There's nothing for him to hide. And so he had a conversation with some agents, and he answered all the questions that they had. And those transcripts came out, and not transcripts, but the summary of the meeting as well as the initial notes, and essentially said that he didn't lie. But anyway, that's going to be a whole different story. To
Right.
get back to what's going on currently in the case, because there's a lot to unravel here and unpackage for those that are not kind of well versed in what's going on in this space. But more recently, like you said, it wasn't the district court that said to dismiss it. So under our Constitution, you have to have a case or controversy. So I'm going to put my kind of lawyer hat and use some lawyerly noises as I speak here. So in order to have a case, but sitting before a judge who's the umpire in this instance to make a ruling on it, you have to have a prosecution and a defense. So when the defense when the prosecution, in this instance, the government, i.e., the U.S. attorneys, which are resident inside of the Department of Justice, when they decide not to prosecute a case, and then the defendant also agrees to that, there is no what's called case or controversy to pursue. But unfortunately, in this instance, Judge Sullivan, who's an Obama-appointed judge, and essentially it seems as though he's working at the behest of Obama and the Biden campaign to make this drag out through November 4th. He is refusing to dismiss the case, saying that because General Flynn was coerced into a plea, which I can explain why he potentially he pled, again, to protect his son and to save money in the process. The judge thinks that's considered perjury, but he can't prosecute it. That has to be the government that does it. And so then Sidney Powell, General Flynn's attorney, by the way, brilliant attorney. She's going to go down as the best attorney, I think, in the history of America. Anyway.
I would just want to jump in really quick because we are running out of time. I mean, Sidney Powell, when she took over that case, I mean, that was after, I believe, the plea agreement when she decided that she was going to start fighting this a little bit differently. And that has been a success on behalf of her campaign.
General Flynn's brother invited her to the hearing in December of 18 when sentencing was supposed to occur. I was sitting right next to her. And as soon as she took over the case after the Mueller investigation showed nothing that Flynn did wrong, she took over, and she's been nothing but an angel of justice, as General Flynn calls her.
And of course, these are all questions that we're waiting to hear from the Durham report. So it's not too far away that we hope that we will get answers to a lot of these questions. But Ivan Raiklin, I appreciate you coming. Yeah, hopefully we should get some answers in the near future. But Ivan, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight and breaking down the situation.
Thanks for having me on, Alan.